Good morning, friends. Happy Monday. Here's your Monday Minute. Today, I invited Rachel here with us, and Rachel's one of our counselors here at Mayfield. And I really wanted Rachel to talk to you guys about something that we all experience, and it's the concept of when our brain gets flooded with emotions. And I'm gonna hand it over to Rachel, and she's gonna explain the rest.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
So we've all had those conversations where somebody, whether it's us or the person we're talking with, like you said, gets really flooded with emotions.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to just take a second to explain what's happening in our brain so we can understand that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a really brief, quick, very practical way to explain the brain, okay? So we're gonna pretend that this hand here is the brain.
Okay.
Now, we all have the upstairs brain. That's gonna be the fingers right here, okay? Our upstairs brain is actually the last part of our brain to develop, not usually developed until we're in our mid-20s.
Okay.
This part of the brain is responsible for what's called executive functioning. It's rational thought and logical thinking, okay? Now our downstairs brain, this is the first part to develop. Okay, this is when we get triggered, this is what we are operating out of. This is pure emotion, basic instinct, fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, so now when our brain is functioning in the best way possible, we're integrated, which means they're working together. It's emotion and it's logic. Okay. Now, when you're in those situations, in those conversations where somebody, again, whether it's yourself or the person you're talking with, gets really triggered and gets very emotional, what happens is you flip your lid. Okay. Very, very fun thing to kind of use with yourself, with your kids and your family, just to remember what happens. And so when you flip your lid, all of that logic and rational thinking, that just flies out the window.
Goes away.
It does. And so then there's just the emotion part. And so being aware of this in yourself can really help you to know when you need to take a break. Because once this happens, once you flip your lid, those conversations typically are not very productive.
Don't go on.
Not super helpful.
Yeah.
And so being able to recognize that in yourself, take a break if you need to, and go do some deep breathing, some mindfulness exercises, get yourself integrated again. That's the best thing that you can do in those moments.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So super helpful for parents with their kids too, because again, that part of the brain, that top part, the upstairs brain, is not fully developed until probably mid-20s. And so more than likely your kids are going to flip their lids.
Yeah. Well, and being able to identify that not only in yourself, but in somebody else, I think can create so much more productivity when it comes to those heavier conversations or conflict or something like that. Because when you either recognize it in yourself or recognize it in your kiddo or your coworker, whomever it may be, I think we get a lot more understanding for what's going on. And because we've all been there before and felt that flipping of our lid, I think it helps us to have a lot more grace for somebody when they are in that moment, when they are being really emotional. And so can we give somebody the space to kind of reintegrate themselves, bring their lid back down,
That's right.
and have a better conversation about it? Or can we be willing to step away from the conversation and be able to integrate ourselves back down and flip our own lids back into place? So that is your challenge this week, friends, is to see if you can recognize in some of those harder conversations, can you identify which part of your brain you're working out of? Are you working out of your upstairs brain or your downstairs brain? Are you working out of logic and kind of reasoning, which is your upstairs brain? Or are you working purely out of emotion, which is your downstairs brain? So see if you can identify one of those two things. And if you're working out of only one, what would it look like to kind of integrate both? Because sometimes we only are in our upstairs brain and we need to kind of integrate some of that emotion in. And sometimes we're only functioning out of emotion and we need to bring that logic back in. So if you find yourself kind of separated between the two, see what it would look like for you to kind of loop in the part of your brain that you're not working with. And it can be a little bit tricky, especially for some of us who have not experienced this, not experienced it, but don't have names for what we've experienced before. This might be some naming of what you've felt or experienced in your life. And so just take note and see what it feels like for you. It might feel really uncomfortable or awkward to like integrate your brains back together, you know? But the more we practice it, I think the more we understand what it feels like and we can ground ourselves through those emotional experiences. So, all right, friends, get yourselves to Friday, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.